Similarly, the Blade World's power was extremely terrifying. World, what was a world? Only a sector lord could control a world, forming a world and using its world energy. However, the Blade World, this move relied on the usage of the origin laws, allowing one to use the world energy ahead of time. However, it was classified as a Blade World energy. It was slightly weaker than a true world energy, however it was still terrifying. Fully comprehending the 6th level, a domain lord could rely on the 6th level of the Nanshan armament to dominate the universe. You still have to train well. The blue-armored man smiled. The entire world pressed down, far exceeding the universe space power Luo Feng could control. Immediately, a sharp blade energy pierced through his head. Luo Feng failed. It's no wonder I failed, it's too strong. Once this move is unleashed, it can completely form a world. Luo Feng exclaimed within, when will I be able to unleash the 6th level? Luo Feng was very clear. From the 5th to the 6th level, it was the most insane improvement of the entire 9 levels. It wasn't any easier than the last level. Rong Jun wouldn't shout to the entire world, however. Wuka was someone who couldn't help but speak up. Very quickly the news spread. Primal region. Bolin was dressed in white, flying in the air above the primal region. Suddenly a majestic silhouette flew over. Bolin. Bolin turned to look, it was Long Yun. Bolin looked silently at Long Yun, waiting for him to speak. Do you know? Luo Feng passed the Heavenly Bridge's 6th level today. Long Yun said. The previously calm and silent Bolin's expression changed slightly, his pupils constricted, saying softly, I know. After which he flew back to his living quarters. After a while, in the center of the Heavenly Bridge Island, Bolin, who was dressed in white, suddenly appeared. Bolin? Watchman Bevan smiled at him. You've really come. I want to attempt the 7th level. Bolin's eyes gleamed coldly. The checkpoints are divided into 3 levels. The 1st level to the 3rd, the 4th to the 6th, and the 7th to the 9th. This 7th level is much harder than the 6th. Watchman Bevan looked at Bolin. You've only passed the 6th level for 2 years and you want to attempt the 7th? I want to give it a try. Bolin emphasized. Alright, go, there's no one on the universe Heavenly Bridge now. Watchman Bevan smiled. The white-armored Bolin immediately flew into the universe Heavenly Bridge. Universe Heavenly Bridge level 7. The blue-clothed man carried a blood blade on his back, wearing a mask as he looked coldly at the white-clothed youth before him. Young man, the Universe Primal Chaos Tablet is the most profound and difficult to study out of the 52 tablets. It simultaneously tests both time and space comprehension with your attainments in space. You can even attempt the 9th level. However, your comprehension of the law of time is only at the 3rd or 4th level. I advise you to continue comprehending the law of time and improve your comprehension of the law of time before coming back. The white-clothed youth was expressionless, his eyes cold. What? He slowly pulled out the blood blade on his back. The blue-clothed man shook his head. The surrounding area immediately became blurry, space and time were manipulated at the same time. Even though the white-clothed youth instantly created over 10,000 images, his head was still pierced by the blade. 7th level failure. In the center of the island, the only person who could directly witness this scene, the watchman Bevan shook his head and sighed. Too arrogant, this Bolin is too arrogant. He's probably always been far ahead of others since he was young, far stronger than others. Hence he has an absolutely arrogant heart, with his comprehension of the space origin laws. During the genius battles, his comprehension of space had already surpassed many sector lords, even comparable to some Undyings. His comprehension of space is so high. His talent is so high, in theory the best way is to focus on space, spending all his time and energy, spending all his resources on the space origin laws. The strong are stronger, using his own advantages. That way he might have a chance to become a space knight. It's a pity. He's too arrogant. Hence, before the genius battles, he had already begun to study the wind space laws, using the wind as a springboard to study time. The most important choice in Primal Chaos City, choosing one of the 52 Primal Chaos tablets to train with. In theory, our virtual universe company has always respected the choices of every genius. However, back then, we still made an exception to converse with him, persuading him to spend all his time and energy on space. Choosing a tablet that focuses on space like LuoFeng's 9 universe tablet is extremely suitable for Bolin, however. He's too arrogant. Extreme confidence, he doesn't listen at all. He still chose the hardest universe Primal Chaos tablet. The watchman Bevan sighed. Many people felt regretful. What kind of terrifying talent was that? After Primal Chaos City's training, LuoFeng's earth body could at most unleash a few hundred images. Bolin, on the other hand, was able to summon thousands of phantoms in the genius battle. If Bolin were to study the 9 universe Primal Chaos tablet, he would probably be able to completely comprehend the raindrop diagram and drizzle diagram in an extremely short amount of time and directly study the rainstorm diagram. In terms of spatial innate talent, he was even more terrifying than Lian Luo. Was a pity. Those who were too talented would also have an overly arrogant heart. He's anxious. His arrogance is making him anxious. Finally, someone of his generation is starting to catch up to him. The watchman Bevan looked at the distant universe Heavenly Bridge and said softly, he's probably never had a taste of such a feeling since he was young. The last time in Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng passed the 5th level and he immediately rushed to the 6th level. Fortunately, he succeeded. His pride is protected. However, this time in a short 2 years Luo Feng passed the 6th level. He's panicking again, rushing to the 7th level without any confidence. Unfortunately, I wasn't as lucky as last time. He failed. The 7th level is much harder than the 6th. He lost in one move. Failure. He's finally caught up. This may be a good thing for him. The watchman Bevan said softly, let's see if this Bolin will fall from grace. Or will it be because of Luo Feng's competition that he sees himself more clearly? Yuxiang Mountain was still peaceful. Wuka, Rongjun, Luo Feng and the others didn't even know about Bolin's attempt to pass the 7th level and his failure. When Bolin suffered a huge setback, he could only silently endure it. Luo Feng's mood was extremely good. Absorbing the 2nd crystal successfully, comprehending the 12th wonder, and now passing the 6th level of the heavenly bridge. I'm really lucky. Luo Feng, his wife, father, mother, son and a large group of people were having a reunion dinner at Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-Star Bay. After which, he smiled and arrived at Fantasy Ocean. Fantasy Ocean, Luo Feng stood by the sea. His heart was like a mirror. Even a speck of dust that landed on it would be clearly visible. This state allowed one to see one's true self. It was because of this. He laughed when he should, raged when he should, and didn't hesitate to kill when he should. His heart was like a blade, causing him to be even more decisive and not procrastinate. I've been in the huge pit for 2 years. I've been suffering from the killing aura willpower that's getting stronger and stronger. Under such training, my willpower has become stronger and stronger. My control has also become stronger. Let's see, what's the result of passing Fantasy Ocean's 10th island? Luo Feng smiled and rushed into the sky, swiftly flying into the ocean. Fantasy Ocean was currently the place where Luo Feng gained the most points. After passing the 9th island successfully, Luo Feng gained a huge amount of points. 51,100. Just the 9th island alone was 25,600 points. The 10th was 51,200 points. And the points for the heavenly bridge were pitifully little. Passing the 6th level was only 3,200 points. After all, there was no longer the 10 times reward from Primal Chaos City. Once he missed that reward, he would never get it again. This was also why, when Luo Feng went to class, people wanted to exchange points with him. Fantasy Ocean and Heavenly Bridge were both hard to pass. It was just that Luo Feng's consciousness was sick, golden horned beast consciousness, and his willpower was terrifyingly strong with the guidance of his 2 brothers, plus his own talent. Hence he had such accomplishments in Fantasy Ocean. Fantasy Ocean's 10th island. So, Luo Feng descended from the sky, landing on one of the mountains on the 10th island that was only a few hundred meters tall. It's here? Luo Feng focused and looked up at the sky. Finally, the endless illusions along with a heart-palpitating pressure descended. This endless pressure was almost like a mountain that covered the land and skies smashing down. Luo Feng's willpower control caused that consciousness to immediately condense, constantly compressing and condensing into a diamond. His consciousness and willpower as one, it could also be called the mental state. Rumble. The mountain of pressure came crashing down, smashing onto the incomparably condensed mind. The condensed mind only lasted for a moment before shattering with a loud bang and dissipating in an instant. The 10th island's pressure is simply too strong. Even though I've improved quite a bit these past 2 years, this bit of improvement, against the 10th island's pressure, it's still crushed. I still have to continue working hard. The 50,000 points on the 10th island isn't that easy to get. Luo Feng wasn't discouraged at all. Because he was different from Buran. Buran had always been number 1. However, Luo Feng had never been number 1 before. On Earth, he wasn't considered number 1 amongst the dojo students. After becoming a fighter, the most dazzling ones were Hong and Thunder God. Even after entering the elite training camp, Luo Feng still was a number 1. And the genius battles, be it the elimination, universe country battles or the overall pinnacle battles, Luo Feng had never been number 1 before. Because he had never been number 1. Hence to Luo Feng, failure was a chance to reflect on his failures. It allowed him to reflect on why he failed and learn from his mistakes to improve. One who had always been number 1, the most dazzling genius of the universe genius battles. One who had never been number 1. Even Babata, who was familiar with him, thought it would be hard for him to make it into the top 1,000. Right now they were neck and neck. Blood River Continent, the most mysterious and vast region, ancient god ruins. Huge pit quarters. I've been training in this huge pit for over 2 years. I've always been focused on training. Back when I first came, I was prepared to explore the bottom of the huge pit. However, I haven't done so in these 2 years. Luo Feng stood at the edge of the tunnel, looking at the endless aura and the endless abyss below. This was a terrifying huge pit. It's here. Luo Feng floated in midair, feeling the density of the aura around him. The higher I go, the lower the density. The lower it goes too. Luo Feng looked ahead, the red aura was slowly flowing. The depth he was at was where the aura was the thickest, however the entire abyss was too vast and he was just sticking to the side of the cliff. I'm at the edge of the abyss, how thick is the center? Luo Feng carefully flew towards the center of the endless aura, moving at about 100 kilometers per second as he got closer to the center. The density is rising, the aura density is actually rising again. 3.5 times, 4 times, 4.5 times, 5 times, 6 times. As he got closer to the center, the killing aura's density became more and more shocking. The killing intent that rushed into his consciousness also became more and more terrifying. It was as though countless killing demons were howling. The howls of the demons were either forceful or formless, constantly tempting Luo Feng's willpower. Too strong. Luo Feng stopped at the 7 times killing aura area, his expression slightly pale, squinting, his gaze like a blade, cold sweat beating on his forehead. This killing aura willpower is simply too terrifying. Endless killing aura willpower filled his consciousness. And compared to it, Luo Feng's willpower was much weaker. Even though it was weak, it was still very strong. Even though this killing aura willpower is still chaotic with countless amounts of them mixed together, every one of them is extremely strong. Even though I can take it, I'll have to treat it seriously. Luo Feng's expression was serious. In the huge pit quarters, he was constantly being invaded by the killing aura willpower. However, that level of invasion, Luo Feng could still fully focus on studying the origin laws. However now, 7 times the aura density, Luo Feng had to use most of his focus to defend against the invasion. I'll go all out, let's see how far I can go. Luo Feng slowly flew forward. His flying speed slowed, however the density rose even faster. The closer he got to the core, the more shocking it became. 8 times the density. Luo Feng suddenly stopped in midair. Hoo. The aura before him was already as red as fresh blood, at a speed visible to the naked eye, constantly spinning into a whirlpool. Whirlpool core. Luo Feng glanced at the killing aura whirlpool 10 kilometers away. The killing aura at the core was so thick it made one's heart tremble, almost like a red sun. At the same time, the whirlpool core emitted an ancient and eternal energy. Even a formless enticement seeped into Luo Feng's soul. Come to me. That formless summoning permeated Luo Feng's consciousness. Get out. Luo Feng's consciousness let out a roar that shook the entire sea of consciousness. In an instant, the seduction that had invaded the depths of his consciousness was completely destroyed and crushed. You actually dare to tempt me? Luo Feng's eyes were sharp, staring at the whirlpool core. I can't go any closer. If I get any closer, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on. Luo Feng's expression was serious. Even though he immediately felt the temptation, he had to admit, the temptation of the whirlpool core was much more terrifying than the fantasy ocean's 9th island. Also, that crazy killing intent and willpower was close to Luo Feng's limit. At 7 times the concentration he felt a lot of pressure. 8 times the density of baleful aura was indeed close to the limit. It was a pure contest of wills. One was Luo Feng's pure willpower, and the opponent's endless killing intent. At this time he was close to his limit. Luo Feng could indeed go all out, maybe he could even go a little deeper. However, he didn't dare take the risk. Because the moment he failed and the killing aura successfully invaded him, he would become a bloodthirsty madman. A true madman, a madman without reason, a madman without thought. That would be equivalent to death. When he was 10 kilometers away from the whirlpool core, Luo Feng chose to retreat. From the looks of it, my willpower isn't strong enough. Luo Feng looked at the blood-like whirlpool before him. If my big brother and second brother were here, I'd probably be able to go even deeper. Right? Whirlpool? The whirlpool core is the densest. The further one goes, the thinner it gets. This whirlpool spiral arm should be at a depth of 9,000 kilometers. Luo Feng simulated a huge whirlpool in his mind, an aura whirlpool with a radius of 1,000 kilometers. That depth of 9,000 kilometers was the outer edge of the whirlpool. Hence the concentration there was twice that of the huge pit quarters. Any further out and it would drop to 1-fold. This abyss aura is the densest at the whirlpool core. I wonder just what that red sun-like core is. Luo Feng thought back to the formless temptation of the killing aura willpower that permeated his consciousness. He felt a strange sense of fear. I can't go deeper. At least not now. So, Luo Feng flew close to the wall of the abyss and stuck close to it for 100 m before descending towards the bottom of the huge pit. I want to see just how deep this huge pit is and what's at the bottom. Luo Feng continued to descend. 15,000 kilometers, 20,000 kilometers. The huge pit's depth obviously exceeded its width, and the killing aura at the bottom was almost the same as the aura in the huge pit quarters. Deep within the abyss, there was a protruding platform by the side of the mountain. On it sat a tall silhouette completely covered in bronze armor. Suddenly he opened his eyes and looked into the distance, simultaneously sending a thread of genetic energy to the bottom of the abyss. Lord, someone's coming. Cloud-level pinnacle strength, how do we deal with him? At the bottom of the abyss, the killing aura pervaded the area. Plants and weeds could be seen growing everywhere, and a blood-red palace stood at the bottom. Leave it to me. A rumbling voice swiftly resounded in the bronze armor's ears. Deep within the palace's second level, there were many sealed cages. Within the cages there were all sorts of strange mad roars. Occasionally there were sounds of metal clashing. However, these prisons were each approximately 10 meters tall and 10 meters wide. They were like sealed cube-shaped coffins. But at this moment one of the prisons automatically opened. Inside this prison stood a valiant martial artist who was approximately 3 meters tall. His body was slightly hunched and he carried 2 enormous machetes on his back. However, his hair was messy and his eyes were blood red, without a trace of rationality. Howled kill. He let out a low roar like a wild beast. Go, kill the one who disturbed the master's training. A voice resounded. The wild beast-like warrior became a beam of light and swiftly rushed out. Luo Feng gently landed, his boots landing on the bottom of the abyss. Moss-type plants. Luo Feng looked at the ground and surveyed his surroundings. This abyss was dead silent. Occasionally he could see some rocks. Obviously they fell from the higher parts of the walls. Don't tell me there's no life here at all? Luo Feng carried his curiosity and began to explore. Of course he was still very cautious. Every step he took covered 10 kilometers, exploring this extremely vast abyss. Some parts of the abyss were sunken like canyons, some were protruding like mountains. After all, in terms of area, the area of this abyss was close to Earth's land area. There were thousands of meter-tall mountains, thousands to tens of thousands of meter-wide canyons, they could be seen everywhere. Looks like there's really nothing special here. Dead silence. Luo Feng turned and was about to leave. Suddenly his ears twitched, he could feel an energy swiftly approaching. Immediately that energy became very clear. Oh? Luo Feng turned fiercely, staring into the distance. What a mad energy, it's not even trying to hide it, I can feel it from at least 1,000 kilometers away. From the energy, it shouldn't be too strong. Cloud level 9? Or domain level 1 or 2? Luo Feng placed his hand on the blade sheath on his back, simultaneously feeling the energy swiftly approach. Howl, a human silhouette swiftly appeared. A hunched warrior with messy hair appeared. His blood-red eyes were filled with madness and bloodlust, and he pulled out 2 giant machetes in his hands. He's gone mad. Luo Feng immediately deduced, in the killing aura environment he finally couldn't resist the invasion of the killing aura willpower, and his consciousness was invaded. His entire being has become one that only knows how to kill, he's completely gone mad. Kill kill? This mad demon savage let out a mad roar from his throat, simultaneously rushing towards Luo Feng. Since he's gone mad, pitiful person, I'll do a good deed and send you on your way. Luo Feng immediately pulled out his blood shadow blade. Clang. The blade was unsheathed, Luo Feng's entire being immediately became a blur, and that mad demon savage's blade slashed right into Luo Feng's blur. Rumble, the ground cracked open, a 1000m deep canyon was immediately slashed out, however that blur dissipated, obviously he had missed. Kill? The mad savage immediately turned and waved his blade. Dang. Coincidentally it collided with Luo Feng's blood shadow blade, causing Luo Feng's entire being to become a silver light, vanishing within the killing aura. What keen senses. Moreover, his saber technique has a faint feeling of the law of Earth. I immediately got close and he was actually able to easily defend. This mad demon. Before he went mad he seemed to be a powerful warrior. Luo Feng retreated quickly and vanished. And that mad demon savage madly roared as he rushed over. Kill? Just the energy released by the 2 gigantic machetes was enough to shatter countless mountain rocks. His pair of blood-red eyes scanned the surroundings. At the same time, his formless spirit energy spread out to search for Luo Feng. An incomparably beautiful blade light flashed. It was so beautiful it made one's heart tremble. Space seemed to freeze at this moment. This blade light was silver in color, and at the tip of the blade was threads of gold. Such a beautiful blade light bloomed. Chi. The blade light pierced through that mad demon savage's neck, after which a sharp blade light pierced into his body, directly hitting the life core, causing it to explode. Kill kill kill. The mad demon savage's head fell to the ground, his mouth moving slightly, unconsciously muttering the word kill. His neck was still spewing blood, simultaneously falling to the ground. Shwa. Luo Feng's body condensed and stood there, looking at the corpse on the ground, silent. Fresh blood flowed on the moss, dyeing it red. The mad demon savage's body was still twitching on the ground. This killing aura is like a rose. It's beautiful yet filled with thorns. Luo Feng shook his head. The moment one can't withstand the killing aura willpower, one will truly become a mad demon, losing all rationality. It's no different from death. The books had long described that the ancient god ruins had attracted countless warriors from Blood River continent to enter. At any moment, there would be many who couldn't withstand the killing aura willpower, losing their rationality and becoming mad demons. They only knew how to kill and were no different from wild beasts. However, to become strong, countless still rushed in. That's weird. Luo Feng frowned. This huge pit shouldn't be too big. It's estimated to be about 10,000 kilometers in diameter. And he has Domain Lord level 1 strength. His flying speed is extremely fast. In theory, a mad demon whose intelligence is no different from a wild beast wouldn't stay here forever. Luo Feng was suspicious. If a cat was thrown into a house and the door wasn't closed, the cat wouldn't stay there forever. One theory. The huge pit to a Domain Lord level 1 mad demon wasn't considered big. Did he become a mad demon in the pit? Such a coincidence, I haven't entered the pit for 2 years and the moment I did, I met a mad demon? Luo Feng felt that something wasn't right. He frowned as he looked at the red aura before him. A bronze-armored figure sat cross-legged on a protruding platform on the cliff wall of the giant pit. He opened his eyes and looked down. At the same time he transmitted his voice, "My lord, one of the blood demons is dead. Let me deal with this little guy." "No need." A thick voice filled with killing aura resounded in his ears. At the bottom of the vast pit, a terrifying aura erupted from the blood-red palace. At the same time, a demonic blood-red stream of light shot out from the palace. The red aura emanated. LuoFeng's vision was shocking, but he could only see 10 kilometers away. Any further and he could only see blurry huge objects. It's weird. However, I have the Masha clansmen. I have confidence in escaping. Be careful, I'll be fine. I want to see, just what's at the bottom of this pit. Luo Feng hesitated before swiftly making his decision. However, the moment Luo Feng made his decision, a terrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate descended. Rumble. A powerful pressure. It was as if some ancient demon god had come into being. Not good. LuoFeng's expression changed and immediately rushed into the sky. Oh. The surrounding 1,000-kilometer space immediately froze. It felt like he was in a swamp. The entire space immediately became an endless swamp. Luo Feng tried his best to fly upwards, however the pressure from the frozen space caused his flying speed to decrease by over 1,000 times. The pressure was unbelievable. In front of me you can't escape. A deep voice resounded in Luo Feng's ears and mind. Oh. Luo Feng's expression changed, looking at the sky ahead. An imposing figure hovered in the air. He wore a blood-red robe and had long blood-red hair that reached his knees. His eyes were a strange blood-red. Just by standing there he gave off the feeling that he was an endless sea of blood. That bloody aura made one's soul tremble. What a terrifying person. Luo Feng squinted. His willpower was incomparably firm, yet he was able to resist and not be affected by the opponent's energy. Me. Blood God Ba Chi. The tall blood-robed man stood in mid-air and said slowly, his voice reverberating throughout the huge pit. You are not bad. Cloud-level pinnacle strength, you can actually kill a blood demon that I've raised that has just entered the domain level. Looks like you've already stepped into the gateway of the origin laws, and your attainment isn't low. Luo Feng was shocked within. Raised blood demon? That warrior from before that had already been invaded by the killing aura willpower and had completely become a mad demon, was actually raised? Right after becoming a mad demon, he no longer had any rationality, all he had was the instinct to kill. His intelligence had dropped to that of a wild beast. If one's strength was extremely strong, like taming a wild beast, it was indeed possible to control such a mad demon. However, mad demons usually only had the effect of massacring. Cloud-level pinnacle and you're able to reach such a high attainment in the origin laws. Breaking through the huge gap between cloud level and domain level, killing a blood demon. You are very outstanding. The blood-robed man in mid-air said slowly, even though it was a compliment, his voice was still loud and cold. I really admire you. You have two choices now. 1. Submit to my blood god, becoming a member of my blood god guards. From then on I'll roam the endless world and you'll be my most loyal subordinate. My blood god will become the most dazzling existence on Blood River continent, and you'll all obtain eternal glory. 2. Defy me and die. The blood-robed man gazed at Luo Feng, causing him to be stunned. What was going on? He had just killed a mad demon, and in the blink of an eye, a powerful and terrifying being had appeared. From the looks of it, he was at least a sector lord level. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to force him to the point where he couldn't resist. And now this absolute warrior was forcing him to submit? He, a core member of the Virtual Universe Company, had to submit to a powerful warrior of Blood River World? Submit or die. The blood-robed man gazed at Luo Feng. I'll give you 10 breaths of time to make your decision. 10. The blood-robed man was completely blood-red, almost as though his eyes were filled with endless killing intent. That terrifying willpower completely descended and pressed down on Luo Feng, and Luo Feng was like a boulder under the pressure, forcefully withstanding it. 9. 8. 7. Almost like a god was enraged, the killing aura rippled about. Luo Feng felt the pressure around him getting more and more shocking, and the blood-robed man's killing intent was getting heavier and heavier. Luo Feng had no doubt that the moment he didn't make his decision, the enemy would kill him. Because from the enemy's incomparably obvious willpower, he could tell. This was a warrior that had killed countless, and he was extremely proud and confident, not allowing anyone to defy him. 3. The voice grew colder, the blood-robed man's eyes gleamed coldly. Right now I have two choices. One is to immediately switch to the Masha clansman with its instantaneous speed. I can immediately fly out and simultaneously enter the automaton ship. Using the automaton ship's speed, I immediately rushed into the sky and out of the 18th cloud level. The automaton ship is the pinnacle of E-grade ships. It's the ship of an automaton Undying. This person before me, from my judgment he shouldn't be an Undying. I have 99% confidence I can escape. The second is to temporarily submit. Because he obviously thinks I'm a talent, at least my life isn't in danger. The first method, the moment I use the ship to escape, it'll be equivalent to revealing that I'm an outsider. This will cause the true ruling class of Blood River continent to chase after me, and I won't be able to return. Also, the ancient god ruins will help me absorb the crystals and I want to get more. The moment I leave I'll lose my chance. Immediately many thoughts flashed through Luo Feng's mind. 2. The blood-robed man's aura was changing. Lord. Luo Feng knelt on one knee, using the most standard greeting of a subordinate to his superior. He shouted respectfully. Immediately the blood-robed man in mid-air revealed a rare smile, looking at Luo Feng with satisfaction. Very good, your talent should be within the top 3 of my blood god guards. I like people with good talent and know how to choose. From now on, you are the 97th blood god guard under my command. So, suddenly the sky was filled with silhouettes that broke through the skies. Some shot over from afar, some descended swiftly from above. In a blink of an eye, a total of 96 bronze-armored silhouettes stood on the ground. This group of bronze-armored silhouettes all had powerful auras. The weakest was a domain-level being, and there were even some that surpassed domain level. In unison, these 96 bronze-armored silhouettes all knelt on one knee, saying respectfully, Congratulations Lord, congratulations Lord. Ha 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 ha. The blood-robed man laughed loudly. Number 1, you'll be in charge of teaching 97. The blood-robed man laughed loudly, after which he became a blood-red beam of light and swiftly vanished. Luo Feng looked at the 96 bronze-armored silhouettes that suddenly appeared. He was shocked at the same time with his powerful consciousness and perception. He could immediately deduce that of the 96 before him, 94 of them were Domain Lord, domain level, and 2 of them were actually Sector Lord, world level. 97. A tall bronze-armored warrior walked over and said with a smile, "Welcome to our Blood God Guard. You are the only cloud level of our Blood God Guard." "Just what is this Blood God Guard, and also, who is our lord?" Luo Feng was curious, asking. Haha. This tall warrior had an obvious difference from the other Blood God Guards, that was his armor had blood-red markings. Out of all the Blood God Guards, only 2 had blood-red markings on their armor. The 2 of them were both Sector Lords. The man before him was also one of the 2 Sector Lords of the Blood God Guard. "Our lord is the greatest genius of the Undying Shrine in a trillion years." The tall warrior's voice was resounding, filled with pride. "In the Undying Shrine, our lord's position isn't any lower than the other Undyings." The other bronze-armored silhouettes were all filled with excitement and worship. "If our lord is willing, he can break through to Undying in a short time." The tall warrior said proudly. "However, our lord isn't satisfied with such little achievements. Do you know, our lord has already absorbed 8 crystals." "What 8? Luo Feng stared wide-eyed. "My god. Absorbing 10 crystals would allow one to become the legendary Black Warrior." It was said that that was only a legend. The tall warrior was very satisfied with Luo Feng's shock, nodding. "Right? Our lord's goal is to become a legendary Black Warrior. To be able to become a member of our Blood God Guard, you should feel proud. Because there are countless people in Blood River continent who wish to join us, yet they can't even get our lord's recognition.